Hi. Hi, everybody, and welcome to my live Q&A today. I have been reading through all your emails that I received over the weekend. I know some of you did ask for sessions over the weekend, and I have spoken to some of you, but I am really super excited to have this session today because we've got so much to talk about and loads of techniques to give you as well to help you cope with your breakup during what is going to be an even longer lockdown by the looks of things, if you could make sense of what we were told yesterday or this morning. Yeah, so I just wanted to see how you guys are doing today, and thanks to all of you who are joining me live on YouTube or on Instagram. Do drop your questions below so that I can answer them live for you today. That's what I want to do. I'm here for you to help you cope better. So if you do have any questions or you're struggling with anything right now, and please drop it in the message below. Now, I know we've got people watching from USA. We've also got people watching from Australia and Europe as well as the UK. So thank you all. I know you're on different time zones, and some of you are super early and some of you are super late. But thank you for joining. So I wanted to start off with going through a couple of the emails that I've got. But one of the things that I found from a lot of the emails I'm getting is really the power that you guys can get from understanding the power of your focus. Okay, because a lot of you are sending me very long, detailed emails about everything that's gone wrong. Okay, now, whilst that's important in some ways for me to understand what you've been through so I can help you move forward, in these calls, it's quite difficult to really get to the nub of everything on an individual lesson. On an individual basis. So what I want to do is, if you've got something you specifically want to bring up today, then drop it in the questions. If you have emailed me, and I'm going to come across I'm going to cover all your emails as well. So don't worry about that. But what I want to do is talk about today the theme of the power of focus. Okay, because what you focus on, you see more of. I don't know if you heard me on one of my very early lives. I was talking about buying a new car. Now, I don't know if you have done this, but when I was younger, I wanted to get a red Golf because I thought it would be super cool to have a red Golf at the time. Well, it was about 25 years ago, and that's the car I wanted. And I was super excited, and I went to get it from the garage, and I drove out of the garage, and all of a sudden, all I could see was red Golfs everywhere. But I was thinking I was going to be unique and different, and having a red Golf Volkswagen, for those of you in the States, that would make me like super cool and different. But actually, when I drove out, everywhere I looked were red Golfs. Now, why? Because what you focus on, you see more of. Okay, it's just the way our brain filters information. So if I say to you right now, and please play along with this, if I say to you right now, close your eyes, trust me, close your eyes, and I want you to tell me, oh no, sorry, got it wrong. Start over, keep your eyes open, and let's start this way. So I want you to look around the room you're in right now, wherever you are, whether you're outside in the garden, so some of you are, or whether you're at home. And I want you to look around the room and notice everything that's green. Okay, I'm going to give you 5 seconds. So look around the room, everything in your room that's green. I want you to make a note of, okay, everything that's green. Okay, and now close your eyes and tell me everything that is red. Aha. You see, we filter out what we're not looking for, you see. So I said, can be a real struggle. Some of you will be able to eventually think, oh, there was a couple of things that I can think of. But actually what you were focusing on was green. So what you saw was green, and you filtered out all the other stuff. And this is how we live our lives. And this is what I talk about understanding the remote control to your brain. Because obviously we've got this brain, which doesn't come with a manual. Okay, it comes with parents maybe, but it doesn't come with a manual. And actually what we need to know is how it works. And actually how it works is what we focus on, we see more of, like me and my red Golfs, you and maybe everything that was green in your room. But actually when I ask you what was red, it's going to be a struggle. Okay, it's going to be like, oh, hang on, I wasn't really looking at that. I might be able to have picked some of that up on the periphery, but it won't be the forefront of my mind. And this works exactly the same when you're thinking about your breakup. Okay, if you're focusing on all what's bad, everything that's wrong with it, all the ins and outs of the details of the story, it's going to, what I call, re-anchor you to those emotions, because your body's gone through so much trauma. It's gone through so many negative emotions. It's like a roller coaster of emotions, okay? And to get through that, your body will have learned reactions. So that first time you opened that particular email that really hurt you, or when you met with your lawyers, or when you got that phone call, or when your partner or your ex did this or did that, you found out they were having an affair, your brain knows how that story goes and will link it to the pain that you experience because it doesn't know the difference. And this is really key. Your brain doesn't know the difference between something that was imagined or happened a long time ago or something that's happening right now. So if your brain is focusing on some of those negative traumatic events, your body will be reliving all the trauma. Your body goes, I know how this works. Yeah, I feel really bad pain here. Remember we talked last week about where you feel those negative emotions in your body, wherever it is, will start to tighten up. Your body will know what happens when you start to go into it, and it will re-trigger all those negative emotions and reactions and behaviors. You might start crying, you might get tummy ache, you might feel nauseous, all those things that can overwhelm us because that's what you're focusing on. So the power of focus is absolutely fundamental here, guys, and this is what I'm hoping to demonstrate to you with the new car story and the looking around the room looking for a certain thing story. It's because I want you to take control. I want you to be empowered to go, I know that by telling my sad story over and over again, it is re-anchoring me to those negative emotions. Now, that isn't to say you never tell the story, because I know what it's like when you go to your hairdresser's, for example, and she wants the latest update on what's been going on, or you go to the butcher or whatever, or you catch up with a good friend. What I'm saying is, instead of just doing this unconsciously, I want you to be conscious that if you go into this story, it is going to trigger some negative emotions. It's going to make you feel upset, sad, overwhelmed, panicky, depressed, whatever it is for you, maybe anger. So what the key is to be consciously aware of what you're doing and how your actions trigger certain emotions in you, because we control what goes on up here. So if we tell the story in a certain way, it's going to trigger us. Mind you, if you bullet point it and keep it short and punchy and say, oh, you know what, it's just same story, different day, then you see how that kind of diminishes it, and you can then move on with another topic. So it's about being in control, because don't feel like you have to dive in because someone asks you a question. I know quite often you think, oh God, here we go again, I have to tell this person. Don't do it. Just stop. Just come up with, oh, you know what, I'm so sick to death of my story. But what has happened is, or ask them a question. Quite often people don't need to know all the gory details. They just really want to know how you're doing, are you okay, and what's next. Now you can keep your story for those who really care about, who are supportive in your breakup support team. So that would be a best friend, or not necessarily a best friend, even somebody that's not going to pour fuel on the flames. Remember I told you the story about a client that turned up for her first session with me, and she popped the boot of her car, and inside were these bin bags, and she chopped up all her ex's clothes with her best friend the night before, thinking that was a really good thing to do, and her friend has sort of egged her on and supported her and helped. Now, this was her best friend, but her advice clearly wasn't the best advice. So because she was emotionally involved, it wasn't that she did it on purpose to cause problems, although it did cause problems for her, obviously. So choose your friends or your family member that you can still tell your story and give them the updates, but isolate it to that, and just be consciously aware that you are going to shrink that story down into like a little, imagine some of you might be aware, because I know some of you are cleaning out your houses at the moment, but you can get those plastic packs you can put clothes in and stuff, and then you sort of suck all the air out of it so it shrinks right down, and you can just put it in a little bag, and then it fits into the loft, but a lot easier without taking up so much space. That's what I want you to do to your story. I want you to suck all the oxygen out of it, shrink it down, and just put it in a little box for a while, okay? Because the more you keep telling your story, the more you're re-anchoring to those emotions. So what does that mean? It means you're feeling those painful things like over and over again, those emotions, those behaviors. Maybe it makes you irritable. Maybe it makes you really snappy. Maybe it makes you annoyed or ratty at people, So what I want to do is to give you that power back. So suck all the air out of the story. Come up now, practice it. What I want you to do, a lot of this stuff you have to do consciously, and you kind of have to say it out loud a few times so that you know what it is. So for example, when people ask me, are you married, or where's your husband? I just say, oh no, happily divorced, thanks. And they're going to go, oh, okay, great. You know, because it kind of reframes how they think about divorce. Happily divorced means I'm not upset about it. I'm happy and I'm in a good place. And don't worry, I'm not going to cry on you, you know, which is quite often sort of the instinctive deer in headlights when someone says, oh, I'm divorced. And everyone goes, oh, no, is she going to cry? Is he going to get really upset? A lot of people aren't emotionally equipped to deal with this. It's a big topic. It's an emotional topic, you know, and a lot of people just are terrified by the thought that someone's going to dump all that onto them. So, you know, it can be super scary for the person you're talking to. So practice the phrase. So, yeah, I'm happily divorced, thanks. And then you move the conversation on, you know. So practice your story, your condensed version of your sad story. I'm not diminishing how sad it is, because I know a lot of you have really tragic stories. However, we can't dwell on that. You know, we just suck the air out of the story and come up with like a little pricey version, like the revision cheat notes that you used to get. Gosh, I'm showing my age now, but when you used to do a book review, you could sort of read. There was a company, I don't know if you remember them, they used to just do book reviews in like a paragraph of whole book. So you could just literally shrink it down. That's what I need, just like a summary of your story that doesn't involve all the intensity, but gives someone maybe sort of the gist and the latest update. As well as that, my really powerful tip, which is in all my books, and that's why I love doing this, is I'm giving you all this information, and it is in my books, obviously, but, you know, not using your ex's name is really powerful, because it puts you back in the driving seat. Because people underestimate how much emotion is associated to a name. Okay, whether it's their proper name, so Richard or Rachel or whatever, or whether it's a nickname, you know, especially a nickname, it's got so many like emotional hooks into you that it will trigger some negative emotions. So if you're using your ex's name all the time, it's kind of they're still in your life, they're still in your world, they're still in your head. So what I would suggest, and it's really powerful, is to not use their full name, shrink it down to the first letter of their name. Okay, so Richard, Rachel would be R, okay? And I'm not talking capital R. I don't care whether you're typing or speaking, it would be R. But it's not a capital, it's a teeny weeny small caps R, okay? So whatever your ex's first name is, or the name that you most refer to them, shrink the name down, teeny small letter, and that is how you refer to them. And tell your legal team or your friends that that is what it's going to be. Because you don't want to hear the name. Even hearing it from someone else can jar you. At the beginning wise, you're getting used to this. Okay, and then just dive down. Obviously, if you've got children, you don't want to be using that, but you probably wouldn't be using their first name anyway. So you could still use mummy or daddy or whatever they, mum, dad, whatever they use. But for the people that, you know, you need to communicate with, like your friends or your family or your legal team, then just shrink it down. Again, it's about taking the power out of things and putting you back in the driving seat. Do you see how by dialing down some of these things, they don't control you, you're in charge there, okay? Again, shifting your focus is really, really important, guys. So hi, everybody. I know there's quite a few who just recently joined. So if you do have questions for me today, please do pop them on, because I am here to answer your questions. And I know I'm covering emails that have come in, but focus is one that's come up a lot this weekend. So I just wanted to give you some more tips on that. But do jump in with any questions or anything you want to ask me, and I will answer within reason, obviously, but yeah, you'd be surprised. Okay, so another thing that I wanted to talk about is your breakup bucket list, because people often say to me, I just don't know what I'm going to do in my life, and life's boring and all the fun's gone. Now, I know in isolation it's kind of tough to do anything that exciting, but you can do some things. But I came across this the other day, which I had in my cupboard when I was clearing things out. Can you see that? It says my bucket list, and it's just a little notebook. It's just plain notebook, and you can write in it your bucket list. Now, what is your breakup bucket list? Well, your breakup bucket list is anything that you can do now that you could not have done during your relationship. Maybe your ex didn't like a certain hobby or a country that you wanted to visit. Obviously, countries right now are a bit tricky. Maybe your ex didn't want you to spend money on doing something that now you actually in charge of your own finances you want to do. Maybe your ex didn't like you wearing certain clothes, or was more of an introvert than you, thought maybe bright pink nail varnish was too much. I don't know, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be big. It can be small, like nail polish, or it could be huge, like one of my clients who decided to go off and train to climb Everest. I know his wife didn't want him doing it. She thought it was really dangerous, which it is. And they had young kids. And so he sort of sacrificed that dream of his that he'd had since university. And he just, he appreciated her thoughts. He's a nice guy. But now it's something that he feels unfulfilled because he's never done. So that went on his bucket list. Now, obviously, there's a way to go. You can't just go, oh, I'm going to climb Everest, and off you toddle to climb Everest. You've got to do some training. So actually, what we did and how I worked with him was I broke it down into small steps, which is what coaching does with you. So I gave him a few small steps, which is one, to research his local climbing club, which he did. He found one. It was only about 20 minutes from his home. And he actually started climbing lessons there with a club who were actually hoping one day to go and climb Everest. And so he joined them. But also the added benefit, which he hadn't foreseen, was that he got a whole social life, because they always, after the climbing, went for drinks in the pub. So from having no social life, because his wife used to organise all that, and being quite work obsessed, he now had this hobby, but also a whole new group of friends. And he could go out once a week at least for drinks. And some of them are still really good friends of his today. So, what is it that you could put on your breakup bucket list? Because you don't know what doors it's going to open. You don't know who you're going to meet. There's lots of people that you can meet through different things, even if at the moment it's online, learning something online, joining an online club, or maybe just doing something that makes you feel good, learning something, watching a YouTube video to learn how to do a particular skill. I've got lots of friends who are learning how to do their nails at the moment so that they become a bit more self-reliant and not dependent on the nail salon. Okay, so there's a question coming here. I've been single for so many years and never had a normal, healthy relationship. I worry I don't know what to do if I meet someone. Okay, so are you dating at the moment? Please let me know. Feel it to heal it. It's a great name. Feel it to heal it. Let me know. Are you dating at the moment? You're on any dating apps? The most important thing, guys, is totally normal, especially if you've been in a toxic relationship, it sounds like you have, then that you're scared. And that is your body's natural defense. So it's totally normal. So please be reassured that Tinder, okay. It's a good place to start. Are you male or female? Are you looking for male or female partner? Because there's some really good apps out there, and Tinder probably isn't the highest rated of all of them, but there's options for you. Like Bumble is a good one if you're female, because it puts you back in control and you can choose who you're dating, and they can only communicate with you if you've started the conversation. Looking for female, okay, great. So the reason that you're scared and you're nervous is because you've got a pattern that you run, that so as your coach, I would suggest a few things, a few steps, and this will help lots of you on here. Number one, redefine your boundaries about what is acceptable behavior to you. Okay, because boundaries are like a brick wall that we build up around ourselves. Okay, so boundaries are, for example, behavior that we think is acceptable. So if you've built your brick wall, brick by brick, it should be up here when you start a relationship if you've got healthy, strong boundaries. So, for example, name calling. If your partner was calling you a name, or your partner was constantly letting you down, or your partner belittled you or criticized you in an unfair way, for you, what is it? Lying? Is it cheating? Is it bad mouthing you? Is it not having your back with the kids? What is it? So you've got to build up what your acceptable behavior is first and get really clear. So I would literally spend some time looking at what is acceptable behavior for you, and maybe where you've let your boundaries slip. And what I mean by that is when you're in a toxic relationship, even if you start off with boundaries up here, if someone calls you a name, what you do is you don't confront it, you let it go, because you're having a bad day, right? You're a fixer, you're empathetic, you want to make things good, you don't like conflict. So yeah, you can suck it up, you can do that, right? But what happens is that brick is out of that wall, and it's very hard to put it back in unless you make a fuss about it in that moment. Now, we all have friends who would have made a massive fuss. Don't call me that. Don't talk to me like that. Get out. Now, those people cannot survive in toxic relationships because it depends on one being abusive and the other being empathetic to enable that abuse. And it doesn't mean it's your fault. It just means that the dynamic works so that you can stay in it. Whereas some people would be like, oh, I don't want this, and they're out. Okay. So it's really important that you rebuild your boundaries and you understand where you've let them slip, so what you've tolerated, because as one brick comes out, then another, that becomes the new norm. You know, and then when you go back and say, well, please don't call me names, well, that's what we do now. That's what I call you every day. Tough, you know, and I'm saying this from experience, I know. So it's very hard to put the bricks back in the wall. So what I would say is redefine that first as your first step to understand what is acceptable behavior, because you've got to consciously know, not just kind of, oh yeah, I think it's just someone's got to be nice to me. It's got to be specific. So, you know, what is it that they cannot do and what is it they have to do? Okay, so once you've looked at your boundaries, the other thing I would suggest is you do my ideal partner exercise, which is in both my books. One of them, The Split, is on Kindle version on Amazon at the moment for just £1. So you can get that straight away, download it and look for the exercise. Design your ideal partner is not about necessarily going straight out and meeting Mr. Right or Miss Right, okay? It's about getting your head clear about what you want from a relationship as well as what you need, because what you need is going to be very different. So once you've redefined what behaviors you need, like acceptable behavior, I want you to write, stated in the positive, all the things that this new partner would have. If you could blue sky scenario it, and you could have anything. So, yeah, you know what you want. So it might be tall, dark, handsome, short, blonde, blue eyes, whatever it is for you. Talk about their personality, talk about their hobbies, their interests, maybe their education, their family. Do they have kids? Do they not? All those things go into your ideal partner exercise, okay? But then I want you to think about what you need from a partner. What must you have? What haven't you had in the past that has meant that you're on your own now? Okay, so what is it? So it could be that you need somebody, that is understanding. It could be, as you put here, I worry that a lot they'll be put off because of my psycho ex. Yeah. Well, then you need someone who's not going to be put off by your psycho ex, don't you? You need someone who is man enough, in your case, to be okay with that. Okay. So it's not about looking for someone to fix the gaps in you. So, for example, if you're worried about your ex, don't try and find someone who's going to protect you from them. You've got to learn that yourself. You know, no one can come in and fix those gaps. You've got to take control and look after that. Okay, but that means that you need someone who's not going to be scared by someone that's a bit mean. You know, there's a lot of men out there that will be like, this is just, leave her alone. And you'll find that by having that strength around you, it will empower you as well. So that's something definitely that you need to add into your ideal partner list. Now, someone who doesn't have a psycho ex may find it really easy to not have that on their list. They don't need it. Okay, maybe their ex is really nice, and therefore they would really like someone who just get on with their ex. You know, so what is it for you? And this is where you've got to get really detailed and focused. So this is an exercise I really strongly suggest you do before you start dating again. And obviously, right now we can't go out on any physical dates really, but it's a really good protection mechanism, this, because the next stage of the ideal partner exercise is to, when you've got everything you want and everything you need, looking back in the past of, you know, someone that's kind and honest and loyal, has the same values as you in a relationship. So if you like adventure or you want security, you want reliability, dependability, you don't worry about it being too fussy, because this isn't about ticking all the boxes. It's about to give you a clearer picture of what you want. Okay, remember, what you focus on is what you attract. So if you're focusing on your exes, you're going to attract your ex-style personalities and behaviors. What we want to do is start again, fresh, you know, looking at the future, blank canvas, throwing as much color on there as you possibly can. What do you want? Okay. So the ideal partner exercise starts with what you want and what you need, looking at views, opinions, religion, education, kids or no kids, you know, whatever it is that's important to you. And then I would say the really important bit for you, and for anyone doing the ideal partner exercise, is to put your safety net underneath you. And how do you do that? Well, what you do is you can have up to, you don't have to have 5, but up to 5 must not haves. Okay, this is the only thing on the sheet that's stated in the negative or is at all negative, because everything else has to be stated in the positive. So what you want can't be not unkind, it's got to be kind, or not stingy, it's generous. So the first half is all about what you want, what you need stated in the positive. Okay, some of you are going to find that hard because you're focused on the negative. You've got to flip it into the positive. So you've got a sheet of positives, but then there's 5, up to 5 must not haves. Now, must not haves are things that are absolute deal breakers. Okay, so for example, lying, confusing behavior, maybe if it's been a toxic relationship, being unfaithful in the past, because that's a really good indicator. If someone is, it doesn't mean to say if someone's been unfaithful, they'll always be, because as I've said in lots of these before, you can't judge, because it might be, I've got clients at the moment whose partners were addicts and they got no love, no connection. They were treated really badly, so they found love elsewhere, but stayed for the family. So, there's no judgment, but it's about understanding what works for you. So there's no shades of grey in this. It's if they have one of these, you deploy your own parachute and you get the hell out of there. So do you see how this gives you like a red flag radar, that if anybody comes into your sort of circle that has any of the things that you cannot tolerate, because that's hurtful to you, that's you repeating the same old pattern that's going to end in disaster and pain and hurt, rejection and all the other things, then let's build that in. Because what that means is you can build that safety net so you can start dating, okay? But that as soon as any of those red flags come up, like lying or being unkind, you can pick that up pretty quick if someone's unkind. If you're on a date in a restaurant and they're not very nice or kind to the waiter or waitress, or if they're over attentive to the waiter or waitress, or, you can pick things up, but because you're aware of it, because you're focusing on it, you'll be able to make a better informed decision, okay? Because it's not like you're going blindly. Most of my clients, when they first come to me, especially on my breakup recovery live weekend retreats that I do, their criteria for choosing a partner is only 2 things. Okay, do you know what they are? Number 1 is they have a pulse. And number 2 is they show them one sign of affection. It can be a teeny weeny one, but just any sign of affection. And they do what I call limpet mode then triggers. And they suck at themselves to this poor person, saying, oh, I'm never going to be alone again. I feel loved. Now, that is not a good recipe for a relationship, okay? It's a recipe for disaster. And I want to do is protect you from that. I want you to be consciously aware of what you want and need, importantly, from a partner. Just what you want is not enough, guys. You have to look at what you need. Do you need a man or a woman who is emotionally capable of supporting you? I think you do feel it to heal it, because you've got someone in your life who is very damaging to you in a lot of ways, and tries to be. Let's not let him, okay? But you need somebody who is tough enough to stand up to that, and resilient. So resilience is something you're going to need in somebody. Look for those characteristics that are going to work for you, but also have your 5 must not haves. And I mean this, guys. As soon as one of them shows up, you then as an adult have to make a decision. What do I do? Do I carry on with this knowing that this is going to lead to pain, or do I get the hell out? Because this is your early warning system, if you like. This is your Nino, this is not going to end well, so I need to get out quick, okay? This is why this is so important. I really want you to think about this, your 5 must not haves, and then be tough on yourself. Also, the other thing of this is, even if you think, right, well, it's not Mr. Right or Miss Right, but it could be Mr. Right now. Doesn't tick all the boxes, doesn't really make me, exciting to see him all the time or whatever. But it might boost my confidence. We might have some friendship. As long as everyone's aware of what they're getting into, then you could have a relationship with Mr. Right or Miss Right now. That's okay too. Okay, don't put all the pressure on yourself to meet the ideal person on Tinder. The likelihood of that happening, if you go in with that mindset, is you're going to terrify everybody. So a little bit more relaxed, a little bit of a deep breath. But the thing is, the onus is for you to pick the right person. You've got to get better at selecting the right partner for you, because only you are responsible for your life, okay? Only you. So if you're choosing people that are substandard to what you need to make you happy, then you have to change. And that means being brave enough to say, no, I'm going to reject the possibility of, what you could give me, and getting looped into that toxic dynamic again, because the risk factor is too high with you. I'm going to go with somebody who doesn't meet that factor. And you're going to have to shift your focus again onto being open-minded to date people that maybe aren't your normal type. So Val here is asked to be part of the live video, but I think maybe you're very welcome to ask me a question live. But a lot of people click the button by mistake, so I'll invite you if you want to join. So this is really important information. Get your safety net in by your 5 must not haves, and then work from there. Hi, Val. Hello. Did you want to ask me a question, or have you clicked by mistake? No, okay.
I'm listening.
Okay, all right. Thanks for joining though. Okay, so So I just wanted to say, I hope that's helped. I hope Feel It to Heal It, that's really helped you. I really do. Um, I um, I hope you guys get crack on with your breakup bucket list and also shift your focus. I think one of the things that if you can take away from today, okay, if you can take away from today is that being kind, okay, if we can all make an effort today just to be kind to somebody, to be kind. So that could be anyone, but just make one effort to be kind. That's my challenge to you. I'm going to see how you got on with that tomorrow at 2:00. Okay, so join me then. But I just being kind shifts your focus onto being kind. Okay, so you're going to see more kindness, so therefore you're going to feel any kindness that is shown your way. And it's tough when you're in isolation, but actually being kind to other people is more rewarding for you than it is for them. Okay, so try and find one person to do an act of kindness towards today. Okay, whether that's helping somebody out with the shopping or just making a phone call to make someone feel a bit more loved, they're not alone. Think of people in your life right now who might be on their own, you know, who are maybe single or single parents or have gone through a tough time recently or not seeing their parents or their loved ones might be really hard for them. And then reach out to them, even if it's someone you don't know that well. You know, just make the effort with people so that you can feel that kindness come back and get that reciprocity, which happens when you're kind. So that is my challenge at the end of this call today, is to say to you, please try one act of kindness. Tell me tomorrow how you got on with that. And let's see how it makes you feel, because being kind to other people, especially in a time like this, really, really feeds you and gets you to feel stronger. So I really hope you've enjoyed today. Thank you to everyone for being part, and thanks for all your questions and for playing full out with me. So stay safe, and I will see you tomorrow at 2:00.